All right.
Well, because if you present it, you can't see it.
Hello, and welcome to another. This is a live lesson. Archie's joining us. Freya and Ella, you may well join us. Maybe someone will keep an eye in case they do turn up. So we're going to do a couple of things this lesson. Everybody in the room has got a copy of the this slideshow, this presentation, with a space for notes underneath it. So what I need you to do is be making notes on that. You got yours there, Jack? Where's yours?
I don't think me and Jack got one.
Okay. Are you just going to use?
I think there's the ones on the slide.
Yeah. You're just going to use it online. Okay. Nice noisy start. So we're pushing ahead and we're getting towards the end of book 9, and is my face framed there, Ben? Can you see it properly? How's that?
Yeah, that's fine.
It's
actually fine.
Okay. It's the best we're going to get. Tuesdays are long days. I did plan on getting through more lines than this, but this is such a big section that I wanted to just slow it down. And whereas in some sections I have skipped over certain bits because I thought, no, they're not kind of as necessary. There isn't as much to skip. You know, we're at the kind of the meat of the story here. She's about to eat the apple. This is where it gets good. So how does she go from the last section that we've just looked at going, oh, what a waste of time, you brought me to the one tree that I can't eat, to she plucked, she ate, earth felt the wound. How do we get there? Well, I've started with this little bit of AO5 from C.S. Lewis, and I just would like us to maybe hold this in our minds. This isn't on your paper, because it was just, you know, the environment. It was going to take up another page just for this one statement. Through giving Adam the fruit, Eve commits murder. That's a pretty that's a pretty bold, damning statement, isn't it, for Eve? Through giving Adam the fruit, Eve commits murder. So I'm not inviting any responses to that just yet, but I do think that we will come back to that when we look at her actions. But I want you to have that in mind, as you know, when we looked at the previous section and the excerpts from Genesis, where Adam is completely removed from this part of the story by Milton. In Genesis, he's there. He's beside her at the tree. He doesn't say anything. He's completely passive. So, you know, is it committing murder if you stand watching somebody do something and then they hand you the poison and you just drink it anyway? It just reminded me I'm very thirsty. I think it's all the central heating going on, do you? I feel puckered. That's a good sound effect. And chip in, Archie, if there's anything that you want to ask, because Ben is moderating the comments. So where do we begin? Eve makes her point that there's no point eating it. I'm just going to have my book in front of me. So you might want to have your book out as well, because I haven't got every single line here, but I have, as usual, tried to pull out the most important bits, and also to kind of break it down into some sections. And as well, I've used the Dartmouth website again for those hyperlinks so that you can have a look at this afterwards. So I'm going to go through it with you. You're going to make some notes, and then when I'm finished this bit, and we've done this bit of the recording, what you're going to do is go back to these slides and in your own words kind of write out what Satan is doing here, because it's really important that we understand this bit and that you start to pull out some key quotations and engage with what Lewis has suggested of Eve. So the point that is being made here is that Satan's main technique is his oratory. It's his power of speech. It's his ability to talk and to persuade, like an old orator from Athens or free Rome, where eloquence flourished, since mute to some great cause addressed, stood in himself collected, while each part, motion, each act, won audience ere the tongue. Sometimes in height began, as no delay of preface brooking through his zeal of right. So standing, moving, or to height upgrown, the tempter all impassioned thus began. I love that. The tempter all impassioned. He's excited because he's almost there. He's managed to find Eve alone. She's not with her husband. He's got her to the tree, and she's curious. She hasn't just run off. She's like, All impassioned thus began. Queen of this universe, which is how I'd like you to address me from now on. Just Queen of this universe. Can you check this paragraph for me? That sounds reasonable. All right, Ben. So we need to look now at these different sections of the reasons, the arguments that Satan gives Eve. And if we're going to make this talk to Paradise Lost, I'm thinking particularly of the end of the play, the arguments that Nora puts forward to Torvald when she's persuading him of her need to leave and to go out on her own and do her own thing. Do not believe those rigid threats of death. You shall not die. How should ye? By the fruit. It gives you life to knowledge. By the threatener. Look on me. Threatener. Look on me. Me, who have touched and tasted, yet both live, and life more perfect have attained than fate meant me, by venturing then higher than my lot. So his main argument there is, you said you can't eat it because you'll die. Well, I haven't died. And if the fruit doesn't kill you and you think that the threatener, what a way to address God, the threatener. God hasn't killed me, so why would you kill you? The only thing that this fruit is going to do is give you more knowledge, and therefore your life will be more perfect. You're going to stop me, aren't you? You're just going to stick your hand up and say, oh, Queen of this universe, please go over that last bit. We're not sure. Yes, Jack? What's my name?
Queen of the universe.
Yeah.
This universe.
Good lad.
Queen of the universe.
Hey up. So he moves on to his second line of argument. Shall that be shut to man, which to the beast is open? Or will God incense his ire, his anger, for such a petty trespass? Add not praise rather your dauntless virtue, whom the pain of death denounced. Whatever thing death may be, we don't know what that is. Of course, they don't know what it is in the Garden of Eden at this point. Deterred not from achieving what might lead to happier life, knowledge of good and evil. Of good, how just? Of evil, if what is evil be real, why not known, since easier shunned? What's he saying there? There's a few things, Courtney?
If what is the real world and evil, it's kind of saying that because they are aware of what evil actually is, if they have a general kind of a concept of evil, they can prevent themselves from committing evil, which in essence is what they're about to do. Absolutely,
yeah, there's an irony, isn't there? Surely, if you want to know how to defend yourself against evil, you find out what evil is, and you won't know that till you eat this apple. Right, brilliant. What else is he saying? What does he say at the beginning? Shall that be shut to man, which to the beast is open? Archie, you may contribute as well. Any news from Freya? Courtney?
He referred to himself as the beast, because he's an animal. He's saying they found an animal around, obviously inferior to what you are as humans, and I can eat the fruit. Why would you not be able to?
Yeah. Why is a dog allowed it and you're not? I'm assuming Archie's typing.
I told him to contribute. says he's thinking.
So that's quite persuasive, isn't it? She was thinking, well, hang on, why should you be allowed it?
Because he's functioning at 30%.
Oh, tell him not to worry. Don't worry, Archie, don't worry. It's nice that you've joined us.
Oh,
What's the next bit, though? Abby, any thoughts?
I've forgotten that.
Or will God incense his ire for such a petty trespass and not praise rather your dauntless virtue?
But it's almost painting God as like a bad person. It's just kind of like,
Yeah.
I don't know what's the word. I can't think of what I'm trying to say.
So he's saying like, if you do this, God will think you're really cool. You just,
Yeah, he said, do you think God will actually be angry? Or will he, for such a petty trespass?
But at this point, has God ever been angry at Adam and Eve?
Nope. Because he's only given them one thing that they shouldn't do.
and it's not even like he says he shouldn't. It's a suggestion. He never explicitly says you must not eat from the tree of life.
Well, he does, but he does in the poem.
Oh, right.
You might want to solve all of this.
Pardon?
If you just made the fruit, like the same sort of wild fruits that you can't even eat from trees. But even if they did eat it, it's just poison.
But would it have solved it, Ethan? Or, I mean, what's he trying? Stop rattling, that's really nice. Thank you. Why is the tree of knowledge there in the first place then? He didn't even have to put it there. That would have solved it all. Because what's he trying to actually test?
There we go.
They're not just that, more than that, their obedience. And he wants, but he says there's no value in obedience if it doesn't come from,
Intuition.
no,
The place of God.
yes, 2 words. It has to come from a place of,
Self-belief.
no, what's one of the big themes of the poem?
Free will.
Free will, yes. This obedience has to be freely given. Otherwise, it's just blind servitude that doesn't mean anything. So you have to have the choice to take the right path. And he said, don't do it. And she's gone. The point I'm trying to get to here is that it's hardly a petty trespass. It's hardly a little mistake. This is going to be massive. But the language he's using keeps diminishing it. Oh, God won't be angry with you. He'll think you're really brave because he said, like, you'll die and you're gonna brave that. Wow, that's amazing. So first of all, he says, why shouldn't you have this when an animal like me has? Then he says, I actually don't think God will be angry. I think he'll think you're brave. Then he says, whatever thing death be, he's completely dismissive of death, like it's not going to really be that important. Then he says that you should know what evil is so that you can reject it. Go on, Ethan, you want to say something there?
I wasn't saying like not have the tree there. I was saying, I mean, it fits much better into the whole Old Testament. What was the thing that the Pharaoh did? He said 10 plagues was paper.
Say that again.
What was the thing he did to the Pharaoh with 10 plagues?
Oh, the Pharaoh.
And other petty things like that get smited, punished, flooded, and all that.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have a tree there that you're gonna tell them not to eat, and if you're gonna punish them if they do eat it anyway, just make it one of those poison trees.
Well, that's not quite.
Because then they'd be dead, wouldn't they?
Yeah, you can't.
Well, then you need to know that they've done it in the first place.
But he knows they're going to do it. He knows that they're going to eat from it. That's the whole point. That's where the tension comes between free will and predestination and fate. Like, is there any such thing as free will if God knows that you're going to do something? That's what we're discussing here, guys. That's what makes the poem so fun. And a word of warning, if Ethan ever offers you an apple, run away. Just a joke. Just a joke. Glad it's being recorded, though. That's great. Moving on. Okay. God, therefore, cannot hurt you and be just. How can you have a just God, a fair God, if he's going to hurt you for doing this thing? Not just, not God. I love that. I love how he can't be it because if he's not going to be just, then he can't be God, because God is just, and it wouldn't be just to punish you for eating from this tree. Says Satan, the evil tempter. Right.
God's definition of justice is slightly different from man's definition of justice.
Especially if we're looking at Old Testament God, who was, as Ethan said, very smitey. Is that a Simpsons reference? I feel like maybe that's been said on The Simpsons. Not feared then, nor obeyed. Your fear itself of death removes the fear. Why then was this forbid? So he says, so why was it here? Why? He says, so this is the reason. Satan says, this is the reason the tree is here, to awe you and to keep you low and ignorant. He just wants to keep you as his worshippers. Now, perhaps Adam and Eve at this point could say, it's fair enough. It's all right being his worshippers. We get to live in Eden and it's nice and we're not going to die and everything's harmonious and it's lovely and we love each other. So is this something about kind of human pride? He knows that in the day you eat thereof, your eyes that seem so clear, yet are but dim, shall perfectly be then opened and cleared, and ye shall be as gods, knowing both good and evil as they know. That's the real reason God doesn't want you to eat the apple, because you'll be like him. What do you think, Archie? Just give us a thumbs up in the comment. Right. Make that talk to a doll's house then. Any link?
The whole idea of like power kind of relates to Constance and Palmer to an extent, in the sense that they keep normal fighting below them in order.
Yeah, if men in this patriarchal world have got the monopoly on power and the decision making, then they're not going to want at this point to share that with women. I'm thinking of the scene where Christine has come and asked for a job. So it's in Act 1, and Nora appeals to Torvald to give Christine a job. Can anyone remember like how she phrases it? She suggests that Christine should work for Torvald because she could. I'm not saying the direct quote here. I don't have my plane.
So it's Nara in the Catholic. And that's what, is that what's on?
No. Maybe about the macaroons later. Anyone?
Did she say that she would like learn from him?
Yeah. She could learn so much from a great man like you, Torvald. So she's appealing to his ego there. And it's effective. It works. Oh. Can you remind me that my shoelaces are undone before I stand up and fall over? And why should Adam and Eve become like gods? Well, they should be like gods because the snake is now like a human. But you should be as gods, since I am like man, internal man, as in I might not look like him, but I'm like a human on the inside. Irony is but proportion meet. It is perfectly acceptable. If I've been elevated and you're higher than me, you should go up again, shouldn't you? I of brute human, ye of human gods. So you shall die, perhaps, by putting off human to put on God's death to be wished. though threatened, which no worse than this can bring. Now, the kind of syntax of that is a little bit confusing. Can anyone figure out what he's saying? Why would they wish for death? Why is he saying it's a good thing? Adam, any thoughts?
No, I'm not sure. No.
It's stuck. What would it be the death of? Rhiannon?
Well, like dying as a human, but then becoming God.
Yeah.
In death.
Yeah, it's exactly that. So he says, you will die, but not how you thought. Your human bit of you will die off and you'll become like a god. So even though God's threatening death, he can't kill you if you've been made a god, can he? And what are gods that man may not become as they, participating godlike food? Are gods so different to humans that you can't become like them? You've sat down and shared meals with Michael and Raphael. You both eat. Oh, why shouldn't you change? He's quite convincing, isn't he? I mean, we have this whole thing, you know, in Genesis that Satan tempted her and she just ate the apple. Here, like this, I'd fall for this.
Like, chastisement going away to kind of interminds me quite a lot, and it's like, well, why?
Yeah.
Why should you live this conformist kind of life when you could equal?
Yeah. Now, of course, the one thing that we have to remember is that when Satan's there saying, look, I ate the apple and this happened and this didn't happen, he hasn't eaten the apple. It didn't happen, right? He's lying. All he's done is transform himself into a snake. Right. The gods are first, and that advantage use on our belief that all from them proceeds. I question it. For this fair earth I see, warmed by the sun, producing every kind, them nothing. If they all things, who enclosed knowledge of good and evil in this tree, that whoso eats thereof forthwith attains wisdom without their leave? And wherein lies the offence that man should thus attain to know? What's he arguing there? Have a look. What's he actually arguing there? Go on, if you've got the modern English.
What are they trying to hide?
Yeah. First of all, what does he suggest about who kind of made the tree? If the gods didn't make it, who might have made it?
Not saying
No.
the angels.
No. So first of all, he says, because the gods are first, which I'm reading as like came first, we've been led to understand that everything from them proceeds. But he says, but I look around at Eden, at this earth, for this fair earth I see, warmed by the sun, producing every kind, them nothing. So is it an argument that, is he saying, and we don't even know if God made this tree? I could be misreading that bit. That's where I'm going with it.
What would be his point?
That we should at least try and find out. And wherein lies the offence that man should thus attain to know? I think I am a bit wobbly on that one. Who's got the modern English? What's it saying yours? Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
It just says like who has put like the knowledge of the tree, like actually.
Oh, I do like it when I remember that I'm not a rubbish teacher all the time. can your knowledge hurt him, or this tree impart against his will, if all be his? So if you do eat and you get the knowledge, why would that hurt God? And if God does own the tree and he doesn't want you to have knowledge, then you won't get it when you eat the apple, because the apple won't go against God's will. You know, this sentient apple, it's capable of...
It's justifying the possible outcome.
Oh, he's covering all his bases. He's like a really good liar, isn't he? He's like, but you might have thought of this, but...
I don't know if it's just where Milton's wrote, but really back to the story of Tantalus.
Go on.
That he's essentially been dining with the gods, took ambrosia down with him, and he started convincing all his guests and that to eat it with him. So if he went down for it, they'd all get punished too.
That's a nice bit of classical context to bring into it. Thank you, Ethan. Abby?
I know.
You're just stretching. Ben?
She says, would that then lead to a lack of trust?
Between... What, Archie? Oh, that creaky spine.
If they don't know who made the tree, like, I think it means, if they don't know who made the tree, how can they trust that God is actually...
Oh, right. Well, I suppose what Satan's trying to do is plant a seed of doubt. And you know, what causes you to be disobedient is... Doubt can cause you to question and challenge, can't it?
Yeah.
Or is it envy? God will be envious then that you have this. And can envy dwell in heavenly breasts? These and many more causes import your need of this fair fruit. And to sum up, I've given you all the reasons why you should eat of this fruit. Goddess, humane, reach then and freely taste. Dun, dun, dun. He's done it. He's persuaded her. He ended, and his words, replete with guile, into her heart too easy entrance won. Fixed on the fruit she gazed, which to behold might tempt alone. So this fruit looks so amazing that actually you might not have needed all those words from Satan. And in her ears the sound yet rung of his persuasive words. Impregnated, loaded with reason to her seeming and with truth. So she hears the words of Satan as the truth. Meanwhile, the hour of noon drew on. So this is where the violins come out. Is that a violin?
Yeah. That's a shotgun.
That's someone who doesn't know how their arms work. Meanwhile, the hour of noon drew on, and waked an eager appetite, raised by the smell. So also, it's like when they say you should never go shopping when you're hungry, because you're just going to end up buying everything that's there, you know. And so Satan said all these things, and the fruit looked amazing, and then her stomach started rumbling. What could she do? She'd left her cereal bars back with Adam. Raised by the smell so savoury of that fruit, which with desire, inclinable now grown to touch or taste, solicited her longing eye. Yet first pausing a while, thus to herself she mused. Okay.
It's not like Satan's exactly a super genius for convincing her to take an apple. Because, I mean, how the hell is he going to know not to trust this snake thing? Because it's like, the only reason you find out not to trust people as a child is when you have that trust broken. And if she's never had that, then Satan's essentially gone to a toddler. Like,
Yeah.
do you want this? Oh, I can't. Like, you're pulling a biscuit away from them. And they're going to still trust you because they've got no frame of reference. So,
Absolutely.
Satan's a bully.
Satan is a bully. It explains a lot why William Blake, the poet, was fascinated by Milton. Josh, I'm recording.
Sorry.
Ben, did she just call you a bully?
No.
Oh.
I hope that recorded.
I didn't hear it. What's William Blake's most famous poetry collection? What's it called? Songs of Innocence and Experience.
Yeah.
So he kind of understood. Now,
They kind of contrast though, innocence and experience.
oh, absolutely. But you can't have experience without a loss of innocence, can you? And is it a full life you've led without experience? It's just how you get that experience. Who gives you that experience? So Blake was very interested and very passionate about the mistreatment of children, chimney sweeps, etc., because their childhood innocence was taken from them by an industrialist society, that kind of thing. So, God, I've gone from talking about Percy Shelley this morning to William Blake this afternoon.
Gonna have Rossetti next.
Never. I don't need to go that far. No way.
Do you like Rossetti?
No,
Either of them.
not really. I don't mind the Goblin Market, but yeah. No, I wouldn't ever get home and think, oh, I need to read a bit of poetry. I'll get some Rossetti out.
I like both.
Do you have it in your house?
Pardon?
Do you have Rossetti?
Well, I've got loads of anthologies, but I think I do have, some like a little collection of Rossetti. I've also got the internet.
I was gonna say poetry. I've never buying another book of poetry as long as I live, as long as Poetry Foundation.
Yeah, I know. I've made a rule, that I'm not buying another book. I've got to read all the books that are in my house before I'm allowed to buy a new book. But then I do things like listen. I've posted a podcast on your classroom today, and then they start recommending books. I'm like, oh, they would listen to that podcast, Ben, and anybody else in the room who is musical, because it recommends a book about music that just made me think, I bet Ben would love that. I can't remember what it's called now, because I was listening to it as I walked home. So I was a little bit distracted by like birds and not getting run over by traffic and stuff. Anyway, we're still recording, so let's end that. I hope that helped. That's that bit now done. Stop recording. So bye, Archie. Bye. Just wait and see if you say bye-bye.
He says bye, thank you.
Oh, you're such a polite young man. You are. I hope my son grows up to be like you, Archie. Are you on live? You don't need to know that.
No.
No, he's not. He's recuperating.